props available to them, or some amount of props. Yin for decompression is our playlist. Yay. And actually, Zoomies, let's start the playlist straight away. Let's just get stuck in with the sounds in our ears. Roomies too. You're going to have it in your ears. Okay, so tonight's practice is basically a little bit of what I've been doing all weekend, which is a bit of everything. So we're going to do lots of poses. It's going to be lots of shapes we're going to make in our body. First one, we're going to get straight into, just so we can start to decompress and arrive. If you've got two chunky thick blocks, you're going to use those, one on its highest level, one on its middle level. And the one that's on its middle level is going to sit in the middle of your shoulder blades. And the highest one is going to be the support for your head. And depending on your body, you may need to change that around. You may need the one behind your head to be a little bit lower. Feet are going to be flat to the floor. Knees might be going in towards each other, or they might be okay to just sit facing up towards the sky. You might want to use a flat block underneath your head rather than the chunky one. You might want to use a cushion. Some variation of being supported in the thoracic spine or across the midsection of the upper back, the shoulder blades, and a support for the head and neck as well. When you create that kind of two-tiered support for the body, allow yourself to wiggle in. Let yourself fully arrive. Take your time as well, because sometimes when we do these things, we kind of get into our practice, we take a little bit of movement first, maybe a little fidget. Just close the eyes and allow your body to be here now. As you arrive in this support, let the palms rest facing up, shoulders rolling down away from your ears. And you can do what you like with your legs. Knees bent is my preference, but it might not be yours. Crikey. Just there we go. For me to be a bar humbug about fireworks tonight. I did get 45 votes for everyone being with me and only 6 for loving them on Instagram. So, alas. And so as you're here, just letting go of whatever your day has served up, whatever your weekend has served up, even the good stuff, just leave it behind for this hour. Let yourself be ever present here in the practice, in your body, noticing all the little textures and the finite details. This evening, as we move around our mats and into different shapes, different things will come up in our body. Just honor whatever it is that rises to the surface, and rather than shoving it down and pushing it back down, just let it overspill. Allow this to be the indication to what your body needs. Take a few more deep breaths here, feeling the block between the shoulder blades. As you exhale each time, just feeling the softness of your body. You're allowing your weight to be held by the earth beneath you, by the props. And this will be the theme for this evening. Let yourself surrender into the usage of the props. Take 3 more deep breaths here. On your third exhale, either holding on around the backs of the hamstrings and gently rising up, or you can roll carefully off to one side, whatever suits your body better. Come all the way up to seated. Take your time to come into Sukhasana, easy cross, and we're going to take the right ankle in front of the left, which I'm going to change because I'm mirroring you. get out of my own body and into yours. And taking one of the props, one of the blocks, maybe you'll want your bolster nearby and the flat block as well, if you've got one actually, because it depends on how far over you're going to lean. We're going to take a side bend here. So we're going to bring the right elbow onto the block and take the head into the right hand. And then with the left arm, just reach it over. Let it rest on the back of the head, or just allow it to be in the air, just 1 minute on each side. So not very long at all, long enough. And just allow the left side of your rib cage to expand. Feel a little bit of space in the right side of your ribs too. So if you feel like there's any cramping or pinching in there, just try and lift and turn the heart more towards the sky. And really for this pose, it's your breath that's going to allow you to go that little bit further. Nice. It'll feel hard to keep the left thigh relaxed. It'll feel challenging to be in such an active shape, in a yin-like state. We're only here for 1 minute each side. Deep, full belly breaths. Every time you inhale and exhale, feeling the breath bubble up in the belly, moving through the chest and the shoulders. And your next breath in, gently come through the center. Take your time. You can use your hand under your head to actually help to bring your head back to center. And we're going to go straight the other way. So use your props, take them the other side, underneath your left elbow this time. And remember, the props have multiple settings, so you can bring them onto the highest setting. Let the head rest into the hand, let the right arm come up and over. Basically, you don't want to be feeling like you're under any intense strain or pressure in these shorter holds. You want to feel the stretch, feel the stimulation. Let your right thigh relax. Notice how it tries to kind of compensate for the side bend and come with you. It's a psoas muscle doing its important job. And again, deep belly breaths to allow the side of the body to expand. One more deep breath in. One more exhale. Bring the right hand up and over onto the right knee. Use the left hand to help draw the head up. And then crawl the hands out in front of you, leaving the legs crossed in that way. So making sure the ankles and feet aren't on top of each other, and equally they're not too close in towards you. You can take your blocks and props out in front of you once more. And I like the flat block because it always helps to add just a little bit extra to the other block. And as you come forwards, let your forehead try and rest somewhere. So you've got quite a few blocks and props that you could stack. You could make quite a high tower if you needed or wanted it. You could use your bolster. Having loads of props in yin is literally the best thing ever, because it allows you to actually surrender. Yin is a really hard practice because a lot of the time we do really need these extra bits to help support us and help to make the poses more accessible in the body. Let the breath fill the upper back, the middle back, and the lower back. Use the strength of the arms to slowly peel yourself up. And you're just going to switch the ankle that's in front. So just switch the legs over. Stay with your block tower in front of you. And then take the same forward fold just with the other ankle in front. And this will feel maybe slightly different. Maybe it feels much the same. But either way, just allowing yourself to gently, slowly lean in. Try and relax your shoulders, let them fall down away from your ears. Even if your arms are helping to hold you up, try and soften them. Maybe the palms can face up. Keep reminding yourself of that tiny or seemingly tiny cue, palms face up. Notice how it changes the whole sensation, the softness that you allow yourself. It is almost in itself the action of sighing, relief. Take 3 more deep breaths here. And on your 4th inhale, gently press into the earth. Lift your body all the way up. Move the props so that they are towards the top end of your mat. And carefully peel your way out of the shape. And if there's any movements that you want to take after being cross-legged for that period of time, maybe a little stretch through the legs, then you can. Very deep hip opener, followed by a deep heart opener afterwards. So stepping the right foot forwards to the outside of the right hand. Turn the right toes off. Some of you will know this as lizard lunge. We call it dragon pose in yin. Blocks can come underneath your hands or underneath your forearms. Let the right thigh spin away from you, but try to keep the knee directly above the ankle so you're not overshooting your ankle. The toes are turning out off the mat slightly, or off your blanket, and your heels slightly facing in. So those of you at home, lizard lunge / dragon, you can't quite see in the candlelit darkness. And you can use your bolster as well. I'm going to say Josie's demoing it greatly in the room already. She's already there, she knows. So you can use the bolsters this way if you haven't ever before. It's very fun. So you can let it actually rest into the chest. Oh, she says, unless you're really heavy like me, in which case the bolster doesn't want to hold you up, but it just bends in half. But you can use it this way. And although it does give, she says, it does actually feel really nice, and you are able to then just kind of relax onto something that's slightly higher up and supportive of your chest rather than just your arms down. This can feel like a lot in the arms when you've got your hands pressing into blocks. And you can, in this instance, you can then come to turn the palms up again without worrying about having to grip the floor or hold on. You might have a sturdier bolster or a slightly lighter torso than I for that. So try and find your positioning in this shape and stay. Close your eyes and breathe through the sensations and the feelings that will come up in this pose. It's been a long time since I've sequenced this in a yin. Take your breath down into where your pelvis is and just feel as you inhale the expansion. Feel your tendons, ligaments, and muscles actually giving a little bit more every inhale you take. Try and stay with the shape, even if your body tells you to suddenly leave. Try to stay with it. Move past the point where you think of it as uncomfortable. And in your mind, start to be in the space of knowing the nourishment that comes. Take 5 more deep, full breaths here. A sequence like this one that we're doing this evening is something you can kind of recreate yourself at home when you're watching telly or reading a book. It's quite a nice way to distract the mind from what we're doing. On your 5th breath, when you've taken that 5th breath, rather than shooting straight out of the pose, come into like a half split position. So walk the hands gently up and back. Be careful of any props that are underneath you and just straighten out the right leg. Keep your hand to the inside of the leg if you can. Pull the toes up towards you. Use blocks under your hands if it's just your fingertips on the floor, or use a block. Nice. Soften the right knee and gently sweep the right leg back. Left leg's turn. Same thing on the other side. Left leg comes forward, toes point out, heel in. Let your hips drop. Again, use your bolster however you wish to. You can use it along the width of your mat as well. You can use blocks. At home, if you don't have a bolster, you can use pillows and stack as many of them as you want on top of each other. Try and pick the option, the path of least offense. So be mindful of your body. If you can, make it so that the elbows can come down. Even if you have to use 2 blocks underneath the bolster, then do what you've got to do. Make space for your hips as well. The foot to the edge of the mat might not be wide enough for some of us. You can go as wide as your body needs you to, but check in with that left knee. Is it shooting past your ankle? Those of you with very mobile hips will find that that will be a natural way that the body works. I'm very good at underestimating our body's level of openness and what it can do. Very quick and concise to explain all the things it can't do. Notice the breath and its path. And as you inhale, can you send it more into the pelvis? What does that mean to you? It will mean something different to all of us, where we feel expansion, stimulation, where tendons and muscles, so the actual fascia that we're feeling into now, expands. And then we might also feel something else. We might feel like an energy, a drawing down, a pulling up. Give yourself 5 more breaths in this shape. And after your 5th breath, take a half split position to straighten that front leg. That part where everyone rushes desperately out of the pose to not be there anymore. I totally feel you. Let that left leg extend, pull the toes up towards you, and you're coming out of the right hip flexor. So we're counterposing by distracting the mind a little bit, the body a little bit, by stretching through the back of the thigh instead. Good, deep, full breaths. Bend the knee and slowly slide that leg all the way back. Move all your props out of the way. Big shoulder opener, broken wing pose. Those of you who know it will know it. Come down onto your belly. Those of you who don't know it, I'm going to go through it. To slide the right arm out to the side, flat down to the floor. Zoomies, you might not see this, so instruction, verbal instruction will have to be as good as it gets, I'm afraid. But if you need me to explain again, I can. Left hand next to left shoulder. Bend left knee. Push into your left hand and roll all the way up and over until your left foot makes contact with the floor. If it doesn't make contact with the floor, you can lay it on top of the right leg. Or if it feels okay, you can let it hover in the air. And if it does come down to the floor and you're able to really draw that left knee out and over to the left side, you may even want to lift your left arm and wrap it back behind you. Invite something underneath the head, maybe a cushion, a block, something to support the neck and spine and keep it neutral. You ideally want the right arm to stay in a direct straight line out to the side. It's not coming up above the head. It's literally straight out to the side. So there's a straight line through your shoulder, elbow, and wrist. It's like a half T shape. Yeah, that's it. It's deep on the chest. And actually there's two things that happen in broken wing pose. You get the stretch, but you also get this massage sensation from the floor below, even if the surface of the floor beneath you is soft. And it's pinpointed and targeted right into the rotator cuff. And there's quite a lot of complex stuff that happens in the front of the shoulder. It can be a little bit of a tweaky space if we're not mindful. So this is actually a really nourishing way to flush out any buildup of toxins, any gristly bits. We'll just try and drown out the sound of fireworks, those of us that are here. Taking deep and full breaths. Inhale, very slowly unravel the left arm if it's wrapped behind you. Use it as like a braking system to catch you as you gently roll onto your belly, and take your time to get there. Spend a moment with the head down. Maybe the left hand comes under your forehead as a pillow, as you let the right arm just have blood flow come back to it. So just leave the right arm out to the side if you can, and the blood will slowly come through that space into each joint. And then you could even let the right arm just then rest down by your side, palm face up if you can, letting the arm be completely heavy. And then stretch the left arm out to the side, and we'll do exactly the same thing going the other way. So bend the right elbow, press into the right hand as the right knee bends, and roll all the way over. And again, support the head with something, maybe a block, maybe a pillow, those of you at home if you've got some cushions nearby. And then if the body feels stable, reach the right hand to the sky, wrap it back behind you. As long as you feel secure through that right leg as well. Such a lovely release for the shoulder. The eyes aren't already, you can close them. Try and tune in fully to how the body feels in this shape. And every time you take an inhale, you'll probably feel like the shoulder gets an even deeper massage, an even deeper release. Your next breath, gently release the right arm back down if it's not already there. Slowly, as you step the right leg over the left and roll onto your belly, let the forehead rest down. And let the left arm stay out to the side for a moment, not rushing the counter to this. And slide the left arm down by your side, palm face up. And slowly from here, bring your hands next to your shoulders. Tuck your toes, bring your big toes to touch and stretch your bum back to your heels in a toe stretch child's pose. So let your forehead come to the floor. Your knees can come as wide as you want them to support the space between the thighs, letting your belly come down through between them, or you can keep the knees quite close together. Do what feels good. You should feel like there's a release, a stretch through the soles of the feet, the toes as well. And keep letting the breath flow through the body as you notice the intensity maybe build in the toes, the feet. And slowly as you inhale, lift the head. Shift the weight forward slightly so you can walk up onto your hands. Separate the big toes so that the feet are still tucked, the toes are still tucked, but the feet are not together. And walk back, peeling backwards and your hips to the sky for forward fold. If you come up here and you realize you need some blocks under your hands, reverse the movement and come back to grab blocks. And you can put the blocks underneath your hands, maybe a bolster. Take the blocks and the props onto the highest setting. I said this, I think, the other day, maybe yesterday, maybe Friday, I can't remember. But I said about using the props to our advantage and actually really using them, not just having there as decoration. So if you want to put them under your hands, have them at the highest level to help really support you, rather than just kind of support you. And try and get as much of a forward fold in this shape as you can, softening your knees a little bit. You might even let your hands just completely relax to the floor and dangle. Feel the stretch through the back of the body. Notice your unique setting of your feet. You probably want them just about 2 fist distance apart from each other so that the sacrum stays neutral, but you may need them wider or narrower, just depending on your pelvis, abdomen. Allow yourself to breathe even deeper here. And notice that as you exhale, the face softens, the teeth unclench, the jaw relaxes. How you just lean in a little deeper. If there's any hypermobility in the knees, be really mindful of this and just give your knees the extra little bit of bend you don't think they need, but they probably really thank you for. Last minute here in this shape. Just let yourself breathe more space in. We're going to come into Malasana squat pose from here. So wriggling your feet almost as wide as the edges of the mat. And I'm just going to invite you as well to take a hold of your blocks, and you've got a couple of options with them. We are going to bring them under our sit bones. But one thing we want to be mindful of when we do this, and actually you could take all 3 blocks underneath your sit bones if you wanted to create the highest platform. I would go higher than you think you need to, because what you don't want to do is end up in this position and then end up rounding the spine and being slumped forwards. Ideally, we come into our squat and our elbows fit to the inside of our thighs or knees, and we're able to sit quite upright. If we get there and we feel like we could let one of the blocks go and we could sit a little bit lower, then fine. I know some of us will be able to sit in squat without any blocks underneath us for a minute, without any real kind of pains or any issues going on in the body. But you don't have to if you don't want to. You can use the props even if your bum or hips can drop that low. Try and keep the chest lifted. Let the elbows do the work, and close the eyes as the hands come into prayer. Just here for 1 minute. It's a nice counter to that forward fold. And the legs coming, or the knees coming wide like this, external rotation in the femur, the thigh bone for the pelvis, is just gently pulling at the sacrum. Just gently releasing after that deep forward fold, one directional stretch. I always think it's nice to think about the bones in the body when we do yin, rather than just the muscles and the tissues. Thinking about what our skeleton is doing, where the bones are moving, and what that means for other parts of the body. Staying with the theme of keeping the legs in a wide position, lift your hips, lean forward, slide the blocks out from underneath you. You may want to grab your bolsters. Some people at home, you may want cushions for this. My favorite, dragonfly, wide leg forward fold. Come and sit on your bum, and actually this is where you might want your rolled up blanket as well, or your flat block. So you can create like a little step with your blanket like this. So you kind of have like two ridges, and you can sit onto that, or you can sit on your flat block, or you might even want both. And the idea is that you start to assist your pelvis in tilting backwards, because a lot of forward fold things aren't actually to do with the thighs or the hamstrings. So a lot to do with how our pelvis sits, and also our ability to anterior tilt. I had to think for a moment where I was going with that. So nice thing to do with the blocks is to create a little stack again. You can do it however you want, really. And then you can let yourself fold forwards, your toes relax and soften. Your head gently rest down on that cushioning. Yeah, really build up the incline as high as you want to go with it. So the block can stack even on the highest level. Those of you that are kind of thinking, this is not working, You can even stack the block on the highest level. You can use your flat block on its highest level. That will bring it up even higher. Yeah, so there's loads of options. Even if you think that the bolster ends up being pretty much straight upright, that's okay. Nice. Let yourself relax into this shape as much as possible, even though I know that it might not feel that relaxing to be here. Again, I just stress the importance of using the props as props. Use them to their biggest capabilities of supporting you. And over time, you may choose to reduce that level of support, but you also may choose not to. Taking 3 more deep, full breaths here. Really slowly start to unravel the body. There's going to be a lot of props to move away, so yeah, move them to one side. Actually, we're going to create another little incline in a moment. Just bring the legs in, bend the knees, and just let your knees gently sway side to side, releasing off the hamstrings, the hips, and maybe the lower back too. Similarly to what we just created, if you use the bolster, or at home if you use pillows and cushions to do it, we're going to just recreate that incline with the bolster. You can move the blocks on whatever settings you feel really help to support your body. We're going to turn around though and go the other way. So we're going to come into reclined hero pose. I know some of you love this, some of you hate this. So sit bones are going to come down between the cuffs, and we're going to roll the blanket up and sit on the blanket. You also can use the bolster if you hate this, or if you've got a knee injury or restriction. You're going to use as many props as you can to see if you can sit in this position, even if that means that you end up here with your knees underneath your hips because the props have to prop up so high. That's okay. So the idea is that everyone gets a front of the leg stretch and open. Knees can come as close together as possible, and then gently start to recline yourself on the bolster and its support. And again, start high, and then if you feel like it's too much and you're not feeling much sensation or any sensation in the front of your legs or belly or hips, then bring the blocks down maybe a few levels as you start to come down. So if there's restriction in leaning back, then use the props differently. Sit onto the props instead. Use as many as you want to or can, physically can. That's why we have so many of them this evening, so that for poses like this, nice, you can be as stacked up as possible. And yeah, take your time, those of you at home, to build the perfect cushioning bolster fort that you can. Breathe deep into the front of your legs, the front of your hips. Take your time. And don't rush the process of this. Probably doesn't get more intense or uncomfortable than this in yin. I did a practice yesterday before bath time, and this was the opening pose, and I was not happy. I mean, I wasn't being held hostage. I could have just pressed stop, but I didn't. My headphones are just loud in the room, not in my ears. So I might have to raise my voice a little bit. Technology. Always evading me. So you have 1 more minute here in this shape. Stay for 60 more seconds. Let the breath be deep and full through the front of your body, and as you inhale each time, feel how the expansion of the tissues in your anterior self, the front space of you, expands. Breathe life into those tight spaces. On the next breath in, use the strength of your arms to help you come up. And if you can, just lay straight forwards and flat down, straightening your legs out back behind you. Don't worry if that means you come off the mat, as long as you're okay with that. Just lay flat on your belly if you can. As you come to lay down, stack your hands as a pillow under your head and let your forehead rest on the floor. Just gently rock your hips side to side, a little sacral release. And slow the rocking down, just let your body be heavy here, weighted. Being mindful of the bolsters and the props that may be behind you, your legs may still be struggling, some of them. We're going to just roll over onto your backs from where you are, taking legs in the air pose, either with flat block, blanket on top supporting under your sacrum,
Or use your bolster across the width of the mat. At home, you can use cushions, pillows, anything you've got that's going to help elevate the pelvis. If you're using the bolster, take your time to decide whether you're going to kind of drop back over it like this, or if you're going to lay down first, lift the hips, placing the bolster in a position that tilts your pelvis slightly, so that when the legs come up, they're almost slightly in favour of coming over the head, rather than pulling away from it. This will stop the hamstrings having to grip on so tightly. You might feel a slight pulsating in the tops of the feet. The ankles. Just allow the breath to smoothly move now at its natural, normal pace. We've got 1 more minute here with the legs up. It's really calming for the central nervous system. It's a great pose to help to aid good night's sleep. Inhale, start to bend the knees, gently floating the feet towards the earth. Take your time to plant the feet flat to the floor. When you get there, spend a moment just feeling the blood flow come back to the lower limbs. Noticing it travel like a rush of energy suddenly from your upper body down to your toes. Let your eyes stay closed and your body stay heavy. As you breathe deeply, lift your hips off of the bolster or the blocks. As you move the prop out to one side, so you to find your strap. Laying on your back with your strap. If you haven't got a strap at home, you could use a dressing gown rope. Just come to lay on your back, and you want to create a loop with it. So you need to go through both buckles, back over one and under the other. And that should create a tight loop. So through both, back over one, under the other. It should create like a little lasso. The only thing you're going to be catching today is your thighs. So you want it to be wide enough that your thighs can comfortably sit in the strap. So you need to slide it on like you're putting on a pair of paper trousers. And let it come just above your knees. And your legs then should not be able to fall out with your knees bent and your feet flat to the floor. This is how we're taking Shavasana today in a semi-supine position. So the sacrum and the lower back is completely grounded. You're welcome if you want to place something underneath the shoulders and the head. You can elevate the upper body, maybe with a flat block, or you can even bring your bolster under the length of the spine if that feels nourishing for you. You're taking your Shavasana here with relaxation, with this strap bound around your upper thighs, lower thighs, your upper neck. Let your feet rest. Knees stay bent, face up towards the sky. As your feet flatten, make sure the toes aren't turning out or in. You don't want your knees or thighs to look like they're splaying out to the side either. So just bring the strap as probably narrower than you imagine it needs to be actually. Again, really good at measuring our body parts is to be much bigger than they might actually be. So give yourself the opportunity to actually be held by the prop. Again, use it to its full advantage, and its full advantage is allowing it to really hold your legs in place. Let your arms rest by your side, palms face up or down, and if you want to pull on any extra blankets or coverings, now would be a great time. Zoomies, I'm going to give you these few minutes just with us on mute because my headphones aren't working. It means you get to hear all the background sound. And I want you guys to have a bit of peace and harmony and quiet as well. So I will unmute myself when I come to bring you out of relaxation, but so that you can just rest, close your eyes and listen to the sounds of the music. I'm just going to press mute now and I'll see you in a moment. open your mouth and let the breath go. A couple more times to reawaken the senses in the body. Begin to wriggle the fingers, but because we have the legs bound together, try not to move the legs quite yet. Just move the hands, the elbows, the arms. And the idea is that we're just going to roll gently onto our left or right hand side from where we are. As you lay on your side, you can start to unbuckle the strap or the tie that you have around your legs. Gently just wriggle it off. These little movements are your awakening from your relaxation. Eventually you can find your way up to seated and trying to keep the eyes closed as you journey back to your seat, to where we started. Put your hands together in prayer as you arrive at seat. Thumbs to third eye. Seal our practice together this evening with a vow of love, honor, and respect. Remembering that we are connected. We are one. Namaste. Thank you, Subies. Sorry for the little tech dip out, but I hope it wasn't too annoying. Only the last 15 minutes or so. Thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Thank you. Sleep well. Bye.